Good morning, I can hear you.
Can you say hello to Flatsoid for me, please?
Hello, Flatsoid.
Hello.
That looks a bit of a mess. Let's see if I can sort that. Okay, so let me just explain what I've got going on right this second. So what I've currently got, and it looks like I'm not getting any feedback, that could rapidly change, is I have got Paul on Skype, Flatsoid Michael in Element, Dank, Mush and Righteous in Discord, and Brian and Neil in G+. And everyone, by the looks of things, can talk to everyone else without feedback.
Nice.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Everything looks to be working.
Not for me, because I'm in Skype and the sound's terrible.
I'm sure it does, but can you hear everybody, though?
Yes, coming through loud and clear, yes.
And they can all hear you.
Me?
I can hear you, John.
Yeah,
Yeah, good morning, John.
The quality of your reception at the end of your line isn't too much of a concern. No offense. However, at this point, this is successful. This works. And I do have control over every line. So I've got a line for my mic, line for G+, line for Skype, line for Element, line for Discord. All separate. Okay?
Sounds hectic there.
Everyone happy?
Probably a world first, I would imagine.
Quite possibly, I don't know. Okay, did you say something, Flatsoid?
So it sounds hectic.
Hectic? When you say hectic, I've got very much a technical mindset on the moment. I have hat on at the moment. So does that just mean that the conversation could get hectic?
No, it sounds awesome. That's what I'm saying. It's quite
Does
a lot of
hectic mean
lines to
good?
work through. So
Is hectic the new wicked?
No, he's saying it's hectic for you, probably.
I'm happy. I don't care. I can add whatever I like to this desk. I understand how it works just about. So, yeah. Okay. So, Skype and Element are back in the repertoire. Okay. Thank you, Paul. Can I drop you from Skype now? Perfect. And then, guys in Element, do I need to be here particularly?
Not if you don't want to be.
Not unless you want to share your screen for us.
I've got nothing to share with you, lads, but I'm glad that Element works.
So am I, because Michael, what is going on?
Hey, Neil. Just been listening to these guys talk Chinese.
Okay. I mean, maybe you guys will talk amongst yourselves. I'll open back up the lines in a minute.
Did you see what I posted in Mass D? The Dean Odell talking to this guy, Vincent Rhodes. Dean Odell is a pastor, and he's actually a couple of minutes from me. And he seems to think that the ether is real and that Michaelson-Morley was a legitimate scientific experiment. I think I should knock on his door today.
Yeah. What does that Vincent Rhodes say? Because I've got him on Facebook. Listen to a few of his streams he does.
Vincent Rhodes is for the ether, as far as I know.
I think he's pretty good. It's just that they understand a lot of the things, but there's still, atmosphere and this and that, and trying to prove that the horizon is not Earth's curve.
You
Things
see,
like
Vincent Rhodes is all old school kind of arguments still. But he's got awesome content, no doubt about that.
Vincent Rhodes is a flat earther.
Yeah, they both are.
Dean Odell is a flat earther too.
Yeah, Dean Odell's a flat earther from way back. I was listening to his things before I even got on Flat Earth Debate. But he just needs to be educated on what a scientific experiment is, because he thinks Michaelson-Morley was a scientific experiment. He thinks it proved that Earth does not rotate and that the ether is real. Listen to the 47-minute mark, and you'll see what I'm talking about. If Nathan can play it, that'll be great. right at the 47-minute mark.
The ether is just the logical framework from which we can study these phenomena, Neil.
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patrons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon, so a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to Mitch Kennedy, Original D-Rose, Rod, the name's Burley, Twad Wazzle, Jason Hornsby, Christoph Fournier, John Travolta, JMelds24, Unimento, M Iron26, Endless, Flat Earth Sage, Golden McKinnon, Retro Bill, More Books, Cannabear, Bogey, Michael Kahn, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Will Brax, Mel B Styles, Hairy Blade, Mobile Max 777, Neo the One, Rob W, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Maria Nealand, Unbelievable Productions, Brewich Ranger, The Real Gabster, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Life is Short, Texas Mike, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will hand over to whoever is in Discord, G+, and Element, so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
Hey, that's the first time I've heard that.
He's doing that stuff, Lloyd.
Yeah, I normally do it with you guys all on mute, so you don't have to listen to it, but given that there's so many different channels running, I was just like, sod them, they can listen to it.
Oh, thanks a lot.
Yeah, it gives us time to talk about you while you're talking. We have a field day on you, Nathan.
But it puts you off, I would imagine, if you had to listen to it, or if I didn't close all of your lines, so you didn't hear me do the intro right, and then I opened the lines. Well, the ideal is that because you haven't been listening to me do an official introduction, you don't suddenly feel on the spot to have a really good conversation. So it just eases into the conversation. If I just open the lines, you don't know that I've just opened the lines on, so everyone's perfectly natural. That's how it normally starts. Obviously, now I've got to disclaim what's just happened. They don't normally hear the intro, ladies and gentlemen. I normally close the lines, so they don't hear me do that bit. They're unaware. It just starts naturally. Not today, however. Today they've heard it, so obviously everyone's a little bit more on edge at the beginning of the pre-show, which isn't the point of the pre-show. But there we go. Such is the illusion of YouTube magic when you're trying to create it. Today we've introduced a new format, which is to say we've now got Element as part of our arsenal. Should one of the other bits of equipment, i.e. G+ or Discord fail, then we've got Element, and it's going to be running today until it fails or causes feedback, and then it'll be ditched immediately.
That might have been me. I had my mic open. I didn't realize it. But I tell you one thing the guy Dean Odell says that's pretty good. He calls Danny Faulkner a deceiver. He says he's not being honest, and he's got that much right.
Danny Faulkner, he tried to equivocate between what's that? The pressure law. They use that's the origin of oh God, my brain is not working. It's the origin of hydraulics.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, he tried to use that with gases. That shows what he is. He tried to equivocate between a law that involves pressure in a liquid. He tried to equivocate with that gases. That'll show you what he is, which is a total fraud. He's a total fraud.
Yeah, because you
And
can't
Brian,
understand.
he's still saying that, yeah, you may be able to see the buildings, but you don't see part of those are hidden because of Earth curve. So he's still on that kick.
Yeah, you see, the thing is, he's taking fluid dynamics, and he's saying because gas can be considered in fluid dynamics, he sees it as a liquid.
Yeah, but gases and liquids are fluids, but liquids aren't gases and gases aren't liquids. And that's what he was at. He was trying to take, what's the law? Principle.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I can't remember the name of the principle now.
Pascal's principle, I think.
It's a category
Yeah,
error. It's
Pascal's
easy as that.
principle.
It's just a category error. He's having a false equivalence of the two.
Yeah, but he was doing it on purpose. That's the point I'm making. He knew what he was doing, and he
You called him on it.
Yeah, he was trying to fool people. He tried to fool people after one of the ball busters there a few weeks ago, with it, and he was called on it.
Yeah, he was doing it on chat. The coward won't come in here, but he does a lot of stuff on chat to deceive people. So, but yeah, that's what's going on there.
Yeah,
I
but
think I should go visit Mr. Dean Odell today.
The point I'm making is he suspected that a lot of people wouldn't know what he's talking about and would just believe what he has to say because he's probably used to dealing with people like that. But he didn't realize we knew exactly what he was talking about.
Correct. He thought that we got a bunch of dumb flat earthers here. Nobody's going to pick him up on it. And what did he try to correct you on, Brian? Something about spelling? Or you misused the word and he tried to bring that to your attention?
Oh yeah, I wrote in compressible and incompressible in the wrong positions. I meant to put incompressible where I put compressible, and compressible where I put incompressible, and I changed it. I edited it afterwards, but it doesn't matter. He was trying to major on the minors. It didn't make any difference. The only reason I was even talking about it was because he was trying to say that a gas is incompressible, was that the liquid that's incompressible. That's what he basically was trying to say. It's something he knew was false.
Yeah, I'd say he's worried. He's got a lot of books out there. He's got a lot of money coming in using this sphere Earth. And he just refuses to accept reality. That's the bottom line with him.
Well, kind of like, what's that other guy? I wouldn't call him exactly a deceiver, but he's totally wrong. What's that other famous guy? He ended up in Christian pastor. He ended up in jail and stuff.
That's what's his name? The guy that he's what's his name? Come on, Flatsword, you know. Ken Hovind.
Kent Hovind. Yeah, Kent Hovind is completely wrong as well. I mean, he couldn't be more wrong. I don't see him really as a deceiver, but then again, I don't know much about him. But he's completely wrong as well. Like, you know what I mean? It's just if you're going to decide to be a blockhead and an idiot, you know, and go on, someone wants to talk.
You see, the problem with Kent Hovind is most of his subscribers and followers are glow believers. If he leaves that behind, he'll lose everybody.
Yeah, see, the thing with Ken Hovind is, okay, he's got this whole thing about what's that? Evolution, right? So he's pretty good on that. But the only thing I didn't like was, you see how Nathan promotes, no matter what you are, flat Earth or ball Earth, he promotes it. He wants to see YouTubers do good. And these four morons got together and were laughing at the fact that Kent Hovind's channel is gone. What's his name? I think it's Simon, Dan, and the other three. Michael, you presented that video and asked me to send it to QE. And these people over there mock it because he lost his freaking channel. I find that disgusting.
I would have think QE would do it, but don't look like you will.
No, you got the raw guy on there with some other broad. Simon, Dan, right? No. Professor Dave, I think it is.
Aaron Rad, I think he's on it.
Yeah, and they're all laughing because Kent Hovind lost his channel, which I find disgusting.
Yeah, all they do is mock.
They also were calling for him to go back to jail. Nathan don't like silence. Come on, somebody come up with something.
4 panels and dead air.
So with me, it's difficult because I got children.
And I got a snoring pug dog right next to me.
Yeah, I'm posting links on YouTube and listening to our one, so I'm a bit busy.
Nathan, why
Don't
don't
you
you
just
play
love our
that thing in
excuses?
Man the 47-minute mark? They get into the ether a little bit.
Well, I did hear a lot of people, ether believers, were angry with me again on last night's stream about me telling the ether's rubbish and explaining why.
Well, it'd be good if Nathan would play that so we can hear what these guys have to say. Yes, no, maybe no.
Well, no.
Maybe he's gone. Maybe he went to make coffee.
Well, let's chat up then. Just us, right?
Anyway, they're talking about Michaelson-Morley, and he's declaring it a scientific experiment that proved that there's no movement of Earth. That's why Einstein came in and had to get rid of it.
No, you see how it actually works is because they needed something to propagate for the movement. That's why it's Earth. The ether is actually for the globe. And because they couldn't pick it up, hence why it's Michaelson-Morley Aries failure, then he created a new concept to give that propagation, which is called space-time.
Correct, but the only problem is they think that ether is real. I would like to know what it is. I would like to see it validated before we start claiming it's real.
It would help if they knew what it was first.
It's very simple. The way you think about ether. The way you think about ether is you just have to think about what field is. If you're trying to define field, it's a priori, it's a logical conclusion that ether must exist. Whatever field, magnetic field, electromagnetic field. If you think of field, the only logical conclusion is that ether does exist. That's how I think about it.
Well, you'd be thinking wrong.
Well, hold on. I just want to understand the logic behind it. So, because we use electromagnetic field to convey the idea of electrons moving, ether exists. I don't see a leap in logic there, seems like.
Oh, so hence the problem, right? If you're trying to define field in terms of particles, then I mean you're probably more lost than I am. To me, it's obvious the field is not a particles floating around in the circles, interacting with matter at the distance. Right? It's just absurd. Right? A field, some kind of a pressure mediation.
We're going to have to define some words then. Like,
no, I'm just giving you an example. I'm not going to debate you. Just giving you an example.
You're trying to make a
how I think about it.
Statement, but you're not. No, never mind.
Yeah, but Rebel, you come with something. You got to you come with something. You got to be able to stand on it. You can't just turn around and say, "I'm not going to debate you." It's a debate show.
I don't owe you that. You know, I'm just giving you my opinion.
Well, see if it's a logical statement.
The way I think about it. The way I think about it, right, is I don't believe, the keyword believe, the magnetic field is the particles interacting with other particles. It's just absurd. To me, it's absurd. Let's just be clear.
Well, that is how it's defined. That's magnetic field is the convention we use to explain that particle behavior. I don't see where your jumping logic gets you to ether from that.
Well, that's where we probably differ. If you believe that when you hold the magnet in your hand and trying to put a magnet against either a metal or another metal that it interacts with, and you think that the particles interacting at the distance, then I'm sorry. I think you lost. I don't have to give you proof. I don't need to give you proof. I don't want to give you proof. I'm just thinking logically about
it's
it.
because you don't have any proof. You have a statement that you want people to accept as fact. You don't have evidence. And
No, I don't want you to believe me.
You say you're not going to debate.
No, I don't want you to believe me. I'm just saying what I think it is. You don't have to believe whatever you want.
I'm not. You said it is a logical conclusion.
Yeah.
That puts it in like debatable realm right there. I don't get it. Why would you make that statement?
Oh, so I'm giving you clues. Let's put it that way. Oh, I can talk at length about it, but just not right now. I'm in the middle of something, but I promise you we'll talk more about it.
Who knew that Rebel was an etherite? Welcome.
I just don't like that tactic of like, if you think this, you're lost. If you think that, you're lost. Like, if you have a positive claim to make, just make it. And if it stands, it stands. It doesn't matter how much you question it.
Especially when you come on a flat earth debate show.
Yeah. I don't like the garbages telling me that this is so and I'm not going to debate you. What?
I'm not telling you this is so. I'm telling you this is what I believe. You guys are way too sensitive.
It's his opinion.
That's one reason I don't usually talk to you guys about things that you don't believe in. Because you're way too fucking sensitive.
Listen, hold on. It's not a belief. You either prove it or you don't prove it. There's no beliefs here. It's either reality or it's not. And that's the problem with this ether shit. It's a belief that people are trying to push. Take your beliefs to yourself.
All right. If you're stating that there is something, you're not talking about a belief. The word is removes it from the realm of belief.
That's correct.
Is physical reality.
Somebody drove a motorcycle past it. Don't worry, everything's good.
Hey, I'm not a scientist, so let's just leave it there. Okay, guys, I'll be back maybe in 10, 15 minutes. I have to go.
So we wait for the proof of ether once again. Yeah, they're all coming. They're going to come out again. I told you that, and you didn't believe me. Watch what happens in the next 3 weeks.
I told you there was a catalyst that caused this, but I ain't going to repeat it.
That's correct. You did say that, and I agree 100% with you. So arm up, boys. Remember the arguments, and bring it on.
I just want to know, the ether boys, do they know the difference between diamagnetism, ferromagnetism, and paramagnetism?
They don't believe in particles, Flatsoid, so just keep that stuff to yourself.
How dare I? Yet they claim dielectrics.
I wish Nathan would play that video on the 47-minute mark. I want to hear what you got to say about it. I'm assuming he's busy since he's got 4 different outlets of what do you call it? Panels. We got Element, we got Discord, we got G+.
Yeah, and I'm going to have to leave for a few minutes, go pick my daughter up at ballet. So I'll be gone, but come back again.
Ballet, you say?
Ballet, yes.
Well done with your sound, Flatsoid. I'm very proud. I was even speaking with Paul just before you nip off, saying how concerned I was because it was reaching a point where you would start alienating your audience away from you. But just in the nick of time, you've sorted it, and now you sound good. Obviously, get up nice and close to your SM58. It's a very, very near field dynamic microphone. You've got to get close to it. But other than that,
Oh, yeah.
sweet.
Yeah, but like I was saying, most of the rubbish came from that rubbish Chinese mic and cheap cable I had. I think it wasn't for that, it would have been much better. And the point, yeah, and the thing is, it kept on trying to choose which one to use between that and the pinhole mic on the computer. So it couldn't decide which one it wanted to use. So it just changed the settings the whole time. So it was really rubbish. I was trying to think maybe I should shut down my channel until I do get the mic though. I was really at that point.
Yeah. Cool. So, Ace, I'll have to talk about plosives with you another time.
But I'm happy about the show because I was actually thinking of getting that because I do want to do some music stuff as well. So everybody's asking me, why did you get the dynamic? I said, because I do want to do some music. So definitely.
Well, it's not that
happy
having a
about the
dynamic
choice.
mic's advantageous if you've got a shitty untreated room, because then you're right on top of it, meaning that the signal to noise is obviously the noise is the room noise that's bouncing off all the walls. So if you're really close mic'd with a dynamic mic, it cuts 90% of the room noise out. But you just got not too close, a couple of inches, maybe point it off slight to an angle so the breath is going past it instead of directly into it. But I can teach you a little bit of that with like two or three messages on Skype. Anyway, I know you've got to get off, so.
No, but I'm saying, and that's the reason why I wanted this mic as well, because I'm going to be moving my studio to the garage.
Mm-hmm.
So until I get sound panels and stuff to deaden the sound, the dampening the sound, it's going to work much better to just concentrate the sound. So
but you're quite handy, right? Have you got a hammer and nails and saws and drills?
Yeah.
Are you quite handy though? Seriously, I know you paint.
And DIY orientated.
Well, then you will treat your room for pennies on the dollar because you can do it yourself rather than buying it. So that's something I'll talk to you about as well.
Awesome. Yeah, they really appreciate that. Yeah, because I'm going to be in the garage, so I can go wild.
Right, but what I mean is, go wild has cost me $5,000, me and my supporters, because it's all been paid for by them. But for you, you can do exactly the same, if not better, for I don't know, £500. And you can spread that out over the course of a year and do it all yourself with relatively cheap materials, just wood and building insulation, basically, and some fabric.
Yeah, because I've seen people use cork and stuff to make those panels as well.
Yeah,
so
no,
quite
don't do
nice
that.
and cheap.
Yeah, definitely talk to me first. Don't be putting egg crates up.
We'll be doing that, though. Don't worry. I will not use egg crates.
Jolly good. Anyway, I'll let you go.
Sure, see you guys in a few minutes.
Just got too many boxes to watch who's banging around on their mic. Do my scan.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Were you and Flatsoid talking for like the past? Did you hear anything between me and Rebel on your end, Nathan?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if.
I wasn't touching that with a 10-foot barge pole.
Why not?
Well, you ain't got to say why not. But I just don't like people making claims and then saying I'm lost because I asked questions. That bothers me.
No, what bothers me, you should come onto the debate channel, you claim Ether, and then you don't back it up with anything.
He said he had to go. He was a bit busy.
No, he said that's why he doesn't get into this with us.
He said we loved. He said he promised to get into it with us later, right? But he had to go. He's not here anymore.
He said if I believed in particles, I was lost, and there was no point explaining it.
Yes, that's what he said. But anyway, Nathan, can't you play that video that I posted in Nasty? It's at the 47-minute mark. Just 1 minute of it.
And he also said after that his last words were like, "I'll talk to you about this later," right?
Yeah, but I don't believe in particles.
So let's just hear him out, before we add anything more, and we'll just leave it at that until he gets back.
Listen, I'm talking about a belief system here.
Yeah, particles aren't a belief. They're discovered. They're not something you believe in.
A little bit about how ridiculous it looks. And I'm going to show it on this screen here because I went over this again and again. You've seen it, the helical model of how the sun is real. And so they proved that with their experiment that the Earth wasn't moving through the ether at all. It was still in at rest. So that's why up until that point, even Einstein and the rest of them were believing that there was an ether that existed, but he had to do away with it. That's why he came up with his theory of relativity to do away with the ether. Like, we don't need that anymore. Yeah.
And that's why Tesla said that his equations were just
go ahead.
Okay, was that what you wanted, Neil?
Yeah, I just want to point out that relativity did not get rid of the ether. Space-time and ether are synonymous.
Yeah, I wanted the part where he started calling Michaelson-Morley an experiment. Maybe it was a little before. I don't know. But yeah, that's what he was claiming, that it was a scientific experiment proven over and over again.
Okay. So what are you saying? Widespread lack of understanding of what science really is, Neil?
Correct. They don't know what science is, because how is that a scientific experiment? That's a parlor trick. What was the natural phenomenon that they observed where they went on to do this laser supposed experiment?
I think they were observing diffraction at differing distances, and the splitter, I think it kept the distance the same, but the diffraction pattern was slightly different. If that's a phenomenon, I don't know if you could work that into a phenomenon or not.
Well, what is a natural phenomenon? Something we see in nature, correct?
Yeah, they're using an interference pattern as their natural phenomenon, but then they're like introducing like a bunch of presuppositions with it, you know?
But isn't this the father of ether? Right? Isn't this where it all started from, or did it pre-exist before this so-called ether?
It pre-existed before this. This is like well before the Michaelson-Morley experiment that the ether was imagined to exist.
Interesting.
Kind of like a confirmation bias, but it was exclusionary, and both presuppositions were wrong. So, yeah.
The problem is that you summarized it right at the start when you said they are inducing the diffraction, right? Now, inducing the phenomena to figure out what caused it is fine, so long as it is directly analogous to something that you observe occurring in nature. So, in the case of Michaelson-Morley, where's the parallel? Where's the comparison to something that is observed in nature? If you say, "Oh, fine, they fire light through slits," as that's not exactly a natural phenomena. Well, on the contrary, there are plenty of examples when you can see light passing through a very narrow aperture, or whatever you want to call it, a slit, and then diffracting. That is something you see in nature. Whereas, where's the Michelson and Morley effect observed beyond the diffraction that they induce when they spin it? Where's it being observed in nature?
That's Sagnac.
What am I thinking?
I'm sorry, that's Sagnac.
What's Michaelson-Morley? I'm a bit rusty on my 2015 Feast of Nonsense. Sorry.
Yeah, Michaelson-Morley is when they align the mirrors north to south and east to west, and the pattern is slightly different. And then they claim that's either ether drift or Earth rotation.
Okay.
Yeah, it's garbage. Complete garbage.
So in that instance, they're just producing an effect literally quite directly and then ascribing a false dichotomy. Is that it?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, that it's just garbage. At least the
Okay.
Sagnac has, it is an observed phenomenon.
Okay, so with Michaelson and Morley, it's the right way around. That it's just conjured. It is, as Neil says, just a parlor trick. Whereas with the effect observed from Sagnac, at least they do have an effect to show, induced or otherwise.
Yes. Yeah, that's really the difference.
Yeah, that's called the Sagnac effect.
Fair enough.
But there's so little we understand about nature. It's like the three-toed pixies did it reason, like when QE jokes around about that, they're using Earth spin and ether drift as their three-toed pixies, and you got to prove them wrong,
Yeah, that sounds like my son. He'll stay up there and say, "Prove me wrong." Well, why don't you prove you're correct first?
But I would say that the way that they presuppose ether drift and Earth spin in that delusionary model they create would have every quantum state of the photon as it travels, which contradicts the uncertainty principle.
That last part you said it contradicts. John, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, the way they describe it when they're trying to, weasel in the ether or Earth spin, either one, they would have you believe that you can know every quantum state of the photon as it travels along its path, which contradicts the uncertainty principle.
I think we should just what we know, what is provable and what's not provable. That's why I like this channel when I stumbled across it. Thank you, David Weiss, for recommending it. But it was the fact that without validation, it's not going to cut it here. You have to validate that which you claim.
Interestingly enough, I think when I first came here, there was only one positive claim that anybody made.
What was that?
Gas pressure requires a container.
Yeah, that's the one that got me too, man. When I heard that, I was pretty much sold. And the other one what is it called? Affirming the consequence phenomenological fallacy.
Yeah, but that's not a positive assertion. John's saying there's only one positive claim being made. You can't have gas pressure without a container. Now, beyond that, we do now have a further positive claim, which is to say that there's a prerequisite for a flat Earth when you do celestial navigation. Now, upon showing what celestial navigation is, that's not really a positive claim because it's self-evident truth within the use of celestial navigation. But you could still, at surface level or face value, take that as a positive claim also, I would say.
Afternoon, guys.
Hey, Adam.
Adam.
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto, and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. Now we are joined by, it's going to be a whole bunch of people because it's a big long list currently as we're testing our element. So we are joined by Brian's Logic, the Adam Meakin, Refracted Curvature, Neil, and in element we've got the Hammer, LVA, that's Paul, Michael, Neil again, I don't know what's quite going on there, and also a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome, one and all.
I don't know how I'm over there. I tried to get on and it just failed. So anyway, hello.
Hello.
Good afternoon, all.
Good afternoon. I'm sure the audience will be pleased to hear that we are now finished with the Wired Witch after a 5-episode encounter. And I will stress the importance of sharing those shows, which have done particularly badly, I'm not going to lie. But the reason we stuck with them for 5 shows was because of the importance of what was being disseminated by our opponent, in this instance, Wired, with the Wired Witch at the helm, disseminating how they lie to children and concluding with how they don't know really anything about what they're lying about, despite the fact they've just indoctrinated a whole series of children at various stages of their educational career into nonsense they don't know anything about and are questioning the validity of even talking about it right at the end of the video. Hence it was worth a 5-parter to cover all of that in its completeness. But today we've got something a bit more lighthearted, which has been supplied by Adam, which is a kind of parody video, which again, I'm, as always, going in blind on. And we will ask you to go and let them know that we've responded to them by way of a comment that says, at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. But we'll get to that after a little bit of housekeeping. So, any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
I would be happy if they could show Earth at an axis.
You're going to need the R for that.
I might as well have a 3 for 2 and go for any evidence of the R value, Earth radius.
It only exists in the math.
Right, we had that yesterday. Let's just think of one we haven't had in a little while. Well, why not? Any evidence of gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
No, you need containment. That's why
Without
you have
a container, there can be no
in the
pressure.
first place.
That is what gas pressure is. It's the force exerted on the walls of the container. Containment is required for gas pressure to exist. It's the antecedent.
Whoever said hello, and shout out to Retro Bill. If space-time isn't a fabric, then how do you explain second-hand clothing? There's second-hand, like, reference to third dimensions? I don't really understand the joke. Neil laughed. Maybe you can explain that joke to me. If space-time isn't a fabric, then how do you explain second-hand clothing? Fabric, clothing. Fair enough. Thanks for the super chat. Really appreciate the support, Retro Bill. Okie dokie then. Right, so with that, we're going to cover a bit of, not Wired, but who is this, Adam? Maybe you can give us a bit of insight into what we're going to be covering today.
Yeah, it was just a little video that I stumbled across whilst it was in my recommended bits and bobs. So I kind of just stumbled across it whilst we've been doing the Wired Witch, and just I felt it was quite poignant. What's it called? Eigen Chris or somebody, but decent amount of subscribers, 90,000 subscribers.
Let me just do the plug. So yeah, it's indeed Eigen Chris is the name of the channel, and share the algorithmic YouTube love by going to this channel and assisting them algorithmically by leaving a comment that says, at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me, and then if you wish to add something feel free. Make sure it's polite. Obviously, don't put something that's going to get your comment removed, but let them know we've responded to their video, good, bad, or indifferent. I don't know how this is going to turn out. It says joke video, so we'll see how we get on, I guess.
Yeah, and just to say, it's not really a review. It's almost like he's reviewing what feels like he's lived this. If you listen to it, so it's like a realization of what he's learned.
So you're in high school physics class, and your teacher asks the class, "Okay, everyone, what is the formula for momentum?" And you, being an eager young physics student, raise your hand and proudly tell your teacher that momentum equals mass times velocity. And your teacher says, "Great job. That is exactly right. Momentum equals mass times velocity." And the whole class claps and cheers for you because you got the answer right. And you go up to the front of the class, and your teacher gives you a gold star for being such a good physics student.
Okay. So, is this going to mention maths at all? Should I just skirt past that at this stage, Adam?
But to mention maths?
Yeah. So he's
yeah, just let it roll. It's
okay.
Self-critical enough.
No, that's fine.
Need to stop just for the odd comment. So
we have got stick pictures on screen, so I'm already pretty much assessing the level, and I need to pull this apart, if at all.
And that night you go home, and your parents are there, and they say, "We heard you got an answer right in physics class today, and so we decided to celebrate your birthday 6 months early." And then they give you an Xbox. And so you stand proudly with...
You see, I'm already liking this guy.
with your Xbox in one hand and a copy of A Brief History of Time by Stephen Hawking in the other, and you tell yourself that this is the best day of your life. So you graduate high school with amazing grades, and then the day finally comes when you go to university to study physics.
Okay. Is he really gonna do what we do?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you're really excited because you are going to become a scientist. You show up to your mechanics class, and the professor asks, "What is the formula for momentum?" And you tell your professor, momentum equals mass times velocity.
Oh. So, Adam, you've experienced this too, have you not?
Yeah, a little bit. It's not so bad in chemistry. But yeah, you certainly do have a realization. What we just told you wasn't strictly correct. So chemistry is more adding to the model and adding mathematical concepts on top of it. The overall concept doesn't change. It's not as distinguished as you have like Newtonian and Einsteinian. Forget that Newtonian, learn this one. But yeah, I think there's a difference between adding but keeping within the same concept roughly, just adding more detail into completely changing something from 3 dimensions to a 4th dimensional.
Indeed, it's without any heliocentrists getting too excited, there's a certain level of validity that you can offer to things within heliocentrism, like the purpose of its original conception, to make predictions about when certain lights are going to be there, so long as you work within the convention, as opposed to working outside of the convention.
Professor gives you an angry look, and she says, "You complete idiot. This isn't some physics class for dumb babies. We are studying rotational mechanics, and in rotational mechanics, an object's momentum is defined using the inertia tensor, which is a symmetric 3x3 matrix that you can calculate by doing integrals over the mass distribution."
Indeed, and how red would your face be?
Nathan?
Go on, Adam.
I just wanted to say that on Element, there's no sound from the video coming through.
It's because it's on the same, that's the only limitation. So, yes, unfortunately, if you're on Element, the line for the video is Element's line shared. I've just run out of lines. So I've got more lines